Okay, so we were just talking about comparison levels. Let's continue, okay? So we were talking about how I have to have this idea of, am I having enough profit? Okay, well, let's take it a little bit further, okay? You compare your outcome with your comparison level, and this measures your satisfaction, okay? So this is really what it tells me. So I am satisfied if my outcome or my profits are greater than my comparison level. In the example I gave you, it was actually dissatisfied, okay? Where I said it was like 90, and then it was 40 or something, which left me with 50. That was dissatisfied because my comparison level was 80, okay? So you've got you're satisfied when your outcomes are greater than your comparison level, and you're dissatisfied when your outcomes are less than your comparison level, okay? So all that tells you is if you're satisfied, okay? This does not tell us if we stay, leave, or anything like that, all right? What does that for us is actually the next piece of the theory, okay? So you do rewards minus costs equals profit. You take that, you compare it against your comparison level, and you see if you're satisfied or dissatisfied, okay? From there, you have a comparison level for an alternative, okay? The comparison level for an alternative is where you compare the profits you derive from your current relationship with the ones you think you can derive from an alternative relationship. An individual will compare their profits to the alternative and decide to stay or leave, okay? So you can measure out satisfied, dissatisfied, stay, or leave, depending on what you perceive as the alternative, okay? Sometimes the alternative is singleness and freedom, and that just looks oh so very good, okay? Other times it's an actual person. It's another new relationship if you're in and looking to leave. If you're looking to enter a relationship, is this the only option? Are you looking between a couple of different options? What's going on here? And what costs and rewards do they have? Or is being single the best bet? Or if you're dissatisfied and stay, which is possible, by the way, what is the alternative? Well, maybe you've built a family together, and you know you're dissatisfied right now, but it's temporary, and so you stay. You know that that the satisfaction will increase, maybe, or you don't leave because you're stuck in an abuse cycle of some sort, and even though you're dissatisfied, you don't leave because of the myriad of different things that can go on in that type of cycle. Or some of us we would rather be with someone than not be with someone, and even though I'm dissatisfied, this beats being alone, especially for someone who might have I think it's the fearful, or I think it's the preoccupied. No, all of a sudden I'm lost in my head. I think it's the fearful attachment is which one that would be most likely to do that type of behavior, okay? So you compare what you're getting to the alternative, all right? And then you stay if the outcomes are greater than the alternative, and you leave if they're less than the alternative, essentially, okay? So if what you're getting is, okay, the alternative is better, you're going to go. If the alternative is not as good, you'll stay, theoretically, okay? So what you have with social exchange theory is this idea that we are looking at the rewards, we're looking at the costs, we're assessing what the profit will be. We're comparing that perception of profit, this is what's so funny. This is all perception. Even the stuff that you're actually receiving in a relationship. I personally know people who are in objectively good relationships who are dissatisfied because they have this thing that they think could be possible out there. Sometimes it's the alternative. Sometimes their comparison level is ridiculously high. Sometimes the comparison level for alternative is out there. They just start to wish they were single again, stuff like that. So you choose to stay or leave. And so we get to this chart here where you have the 4 types of relationships, and we have a discussion on this week. So you might want to pay attention to this, because we've all been in each of these quadrants at some point in time in different relationships in our lives, okay? Or if we haven't, we will be, okay? And it doesn't mean necessarily that a big relationship ends. Sometimes it means you were happy at a job, but you got a better job, and so you moved on. Or, you know, your friend stabbed you in the back, and you decided to go ahead and stay with them because you've been friends for 20 years. Okay, so, but just right here you've got the unhappy but stay, and these are my cheesy my cheesy graphics here. But you've got people who are unhappy but stay when the profit is less than the comparison level, but the alternative is lower than what they're actually getting here. Okay, so they choose to stay. And sometimes we're unhappy but stay for good reasons. It's not always, by the way, this is people who stay in abusive relationships. If you're here, it doesn't mean it's necessarily abusive, by the way, okay? Sometimes your satisfaction dips. Sometimes things happen in life where, you're like, wow, it'd sure be nice to restart. It'd be nice to start over. I mean, people think all sorts of different things, and satisfaction levels go up and down, and we assess things differently depending on where we're at. And so if you're here, it doesn't mean it's abusive, but abusive relationships fit here, usually, okay? To come around this way, go counterclockwise, we have unhappy and leave. This makes good sense, right? My profit is less than my comparison level. I'd rather be single, or I've got options out there. See you later, I'm hitting the door. This one is the happy but leave. This is where I'm getting, my profit is higher than my comparison level, but oh man, the alternative. The alternative is even better than what I'm getting here. So they go out the door. I've seen this stuff happen with people reconnect on Facebook. So people of my generation did not have Facebook in high school or college even. I graduated, y'all, I got married without a text message to my wife. I'm not even that old. But my wife and I got married before text messaging was invented. It was around, but you had to pay like 10 cents a text, and we didn't do that. Okay? And so what happens is you've got people of my generation anyway, and I don't know if this happens elsewhere, but that person you had a crush on in high school, you become friends on Facebook and you start talking, and you're like, oh, wow, I used to have a crush on you in high school. And they're like, oh, I had one on you too. And all of a sudden it's the one that got away. And then the talk shifts to, well, hey, you still look pretty good. Hey, you do too. We should meet up and catch up. And then catch up ends up, other things. So anyways, the happy but leave, things can be going great, and that alternative just starts to peek in there. Okay, sometimes that grass is greener is you've got someone who's single and loving it, and they make it look really good, and you're like, I'm gonna go be single. Okay, so you happy and leave, and then here you have happy and stay. Okay, and this makes good sense, right? You're getting your profit, it's higher than your comparison level, and the alternative is not there. Okay, so folks, you can use social penetration theory in a pop culture artifact usually pretty easy. You can usually see if they're weighing the pros and cons of getting into a relationship, or they're at a turning point in their relationship and they're talking about how something's got to change or we're not going to make it. Chances are there's been some social exchange theory stuff going on there. One of the most famous pop culture examples of this is, and it's crazy how many of my students who are not of my generation know of this, but there's the episode of Friends where Ross makes the list. And folks, that is social exchange theory to a T. Okay? And he actually makes the list and then decides the alternative is not worth it. Right? Anyway, but it still ends the relationship. Yeah, it's touchy. But if you're a Friends fan, you could use that as your pop culture artifact and write about social exchange theory. Okay? So this is social exchange theory, folks. I've attached extra readings for all of the theories except for social exchange theory right now. I'm going to see if I can. I have one, but I'm not crazy about it. If I find one and can get it in there, I'll post it. But right now, you've got extra stuff to help you out for social penetration, uncertainty reduction, and relational dialectics. Okay. If you have any questions about any of these theories, please let me know. These are foundational to us understanding what's happening for the rest of our semester in here in interpersonal communication. So I look forward to our discussions on relational dialectics and social exchange theory. We're doing discussions on those two because they're the most complicated theories, and I want us to make sure we understand those. Okay? I'll see you in the boards.